You know, we were gonna call it the Dysfunctional Nerd Family Gets a Few Microphones, but they came up with FM Talk Think Tank instead. The good news is there could still be a fist fight, so stay tuned. This is 97.1 Free FM, SoCal's FM Talk station.
It is Think Tank 97.1, the FM Talk station. Conway and Whitman with us, as well as Tom Likas, the boss. Jack Silver's back in the room. Of course, Frosty, Heidi, and Frank as well, as Brian and Tom and Jack continue to thrash this about. If you're just joining us, there's an issue, but I didn't know this is bubbling beneath the surface. This is a good one, though, guys. Brian Whitman.
And, you know, and by the way, if real quickly, if I could just say something, this is Conway from the Conway Whitman Show. I know both of these guys very well. Brian has been with us for 2.5 years, and I think he's a great guy. He's a very talented guy, very funny guy, and the best voices, I think, of anybody in television or radio. I think in America, nobody has a better voice than you. And Tom Likas, Frank. I've spent tons of time with Tom at Kings games, and 3 or 4 years ago when my wife was out of town or actually it was my girlfriend at the time, out of town for Thanksgiving with my parents, Tommy called up personally and said, hey, why don't you come over to the house and spend Thanksgiving with me, right? So I'm in the middle of these two guys who are having this major war, and I'm trying to figure out, how to, not which side to play.
How to play both sides against the middle?
Yeah, but how to, sort of stay in the middle and not really piss off the other guy, but running the risk of pissing you both off. I can't stand either one of you.
Well, look, this is not personal. Again, and I've said it now.
No, that's not true.
I said it last hour, and I'll repeat now my affection for everybody that I work with, and the fact that I wouldn't even be imitating Tom if I didn't listen to him and think that he was a great personality on the radio. Furthermore, I've had a personal relationship with him since I was a kid. I mean, literally a kid. So this is not that. I certainly hope it's not. That two guys don't like each other.
What's the maximum amount of minutes he can do you per hour on our show?
I'm not the program director.
Give me a number.
Jack Silver?
I'm not giving you a number. I refuse.
5 minutes?
Right. Well,
Jack Silver's back with us,
yeah,
the boss.
No, here's the thing. Well, first
you want
of all,
a number, you get it.
The answer to that question is you can do sporadically, maybe a couple, 3, 4, 5 minutes spread out through the hour.
5 minutes.
But before we went to the commercial break, the question was asked, do I have the balls to disagree with Tom Likas? And, I think that's a bogus question. I don't know who asked it.
I think it was me.
Oh.
Frank.
Well, I answered it.
Well, no, the answer is, yeah, I totally have the balls to disagree with Tom. But in this instance,
really?
we don't air our dirty laundry in public.
But I don't disagree. And as the program director, and as my job is to try to challenge you guys, what I'm looking for is a little more variety. And when I asked you to spread it out a little bit, it's strictly from an objective point of view, which is to say you've got a big, you've got a gift. You should use it. It's like Frank Caliendo. He's got a new show coming out on TBS called Frank TV. They didn't do a promo with just John Madden. They got a promo with him as George Bush. They got a promo with him as Jack Nicholson. And arguably, you and Frank Caliendo are probably the two best voice guys out there. You should show as many looks as Frank Caliendo. Period. End of report.
Well, every night. I mean, we do 3 hours every night. I mean, I do a lot of different characters and voices every night.
That's true.
Tim knows that, and the listeners to our show know that.
It was getting a little top heavy with Tom, and that's it. And
good. It's fine though because
right,
the issue's been resolved.
Well, but then don't be a baby and don't say I'm never going to do Tom again because that's not what it was. But
that would be preferred, I think.
No, it's not preferred by who?
No,
this guy's a pussy.
I would say,
but is calling him a baby
say,
and a pussy really helping, Jack?
No, I tell you what it is.
You know what
set
him off.
It's not. I mean, this is the 4th or 5th time he called me a name, which is fine. Call me any name you want. All I know is that I am sitting here this afternoon telling the truth as I know it. And the opinions that I have offered of what has happened in terms of what has been communicated to me are not I'm not lying. I'm not suggesting anyone else is. All I'm saying is I am telling, and Tim and I do the show every night. He knows the communications that are made to me. I am not misrepresenting the communications that have been made to me on this issue. It's just a bit. It's really this is really overblown. But Tim knows, and I guess he's really the only one who does know, or who can back me up on it. I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up, and Jack knows I'm not making this up. Now, if you want
So
to,
is Jack a liar?
If we want to,
Is he a liar?
well,
Say it.
let's find out.
Say it.
Let's find out. Jack,
Yes.
Has Tom communicated to you ever that I have seen or that Tim has seen, specifically emails forwarded from other listeners or via telephone, a desire for me to not do him? Has he ever communicated that to you?
There have been times when Tom and I are at bar stools, whether at Genghis Khan or Lola's or on his patio at his house, and when all we do is talk about radio, and the topic of you does come up from time to time, and both of us agree that it's gotten a little top heavy with Tom and hours and bits and stuff like that. So me, kind of digesting it all, come up with my idea, which is to say, please stretch it out. That's it. And I don't mean to call you a baby, but what I'm saying by that is when I ask you to do that, you say, no more voices.
Well,
that was your response.
That's where the pussy comes from, Frosty.
Oh,
That's right,
I don't know much
Mr.
about pussy.
Well, you ought to learn.
Let me take this.
Is Brian, you are gifted. Just bring a little more variety.
Thank you, Jack.
We are one big happy family, and like one of the things that I've always told you on the phone, which is point the guns outward. Give me some voices. Give me some stuff about some other people. If you want to bag or create like crazy weird characters, go do a Kevin and Bean character. Go do a Bill Hanna.
But don't you
But-
feel like that drives? Sorry, Brian. Don't you feel like that drives people to go check them out to see how dead on he is? Like, oh God, I got to listen to Kevin and Bean in the morning because I want to see how good Whitman's Kevin and Bean
Well,
is.
if he did it in a really funny way and put them like they're two gay lovers, and Kevin sounds like one gay guy, Bean sounds like another guy, that might be funny, and that would put them in a negative light.
I've never done, for the record, I've never done Tom to not flatter him. I've never done Tom to. Don't shrug your shoulders, Jack.
Well, I'm shrugging because
if you think I'm not telling the truth, then say you think I'm not telling the truth. I'm just doing an impression of him. I've done an impression of Rick Dees. I love Rick Dees like a family member.
And like I told you on the phone the other day.
I don't do people because I don't like them.
Do you think there's a line that can be crossed, like when you get into some of Rick's overly personal things that he may have told you off the air, and then you kind of parrot it back on the air?
Oh, so I'm doing that wrong too. All right, I'll stop doing him too, Jack.
No,
God damn it! You know what? Hire a guy
God,
who
he
doesn't
is
do
a pussy.
voices. Hire a guy who doesn't do
I
voices.
had him. He fell off a stage. I mean, Christ. He was.
I didn't know about that. So he goes on the air doing Rick Dees, and he does personal stuff that Rick Dees said?
I think there are times.
I had no idea.
Here's the gang up. I hope the audience is listening closely to it. I don't know how much more of this I can take, to be honest with you, Jack.
This is a little unfair.
All right, well then
You know what? It's
Or
very
the
unfair.
audience.
And you know what?
I
Would
just
you like to
got
talk
an email
about attendance?
And you know what, Tom?
Talk about driving
you know
a
what,
bit into the
Tom?
ground.
You want to talk about you want to talk about all personal things on the air, Jack? Let's talk about everything personal
My
about
drinking.
me on the
All right,
air.
bring it out. All right, I know. Too much tequila.
And to answer your question, Tom, I've done Rick Dees for a long time.
Yeah.
He's
You
one
know
of
what to
my
do, Steve.
closest friends.
Yeah.
He's never complained to me about anything that I've done, and I've never done anything on the air to hurt him, and I would never do anything on the air to hurt him, and I've never done anything on the air to hurt you.
When did I ever say that?
Well, you're smiling and you're snickering, and the question you just asked, Jack, was very obvious
You're
to anyone
taking this
listening
awfully
or anyone in the
seriously. I
room.
know.
What?
And the
I
fact
know.
is-
Right, but maybe we should all leave the room so you guys can actually get it on.
No, I don't want to do that.
You know what?
I'm not taking my marbles
I'm
and going
done.
home.
Oh,
No,
don't
don't be done.
Don't,
Go ahead.
no.
Have this conversation without me.
Hey,
I'm
no.
not participating
Don't leave.
in
No,
this
you're not going
conversation.
anywhere.
Somebody
if
go
you,
to
if
John
you
and
do
Jeff
this
show,
now,
put
then
him
you're
in that chair
proving
then.
that.
Yeah, don't let him win.
No,
I did
I'm
this one
not
time, and I felt
participating in
bad
this
about it.
conversation any longer.
Well, the good news is we have to break. We come back, it'll be a different conversation. Hopefully, Brian will still be here, as well as Tim.
No, I won't
and Tom
leave,
and Jack.
but I'm not participating in this conversation. It's
why
very
are you
obvious. The
staying?
dynamic is very obvious. I'm not going to be a part of it.
I think we've answered every question that the listener or the fans of our station would have had. Why is there this issue between you on the air? Because lately I've been getting phone calls even at my office. I don't know who gave out my office phone number. Why can't Brian do Tom Likas?
Nobody gave out your office phone number.
The answer is you can do Tom Likas. That's the answer. Just use it sparingly, keep it funny, and give me a variety. I like Vin
I
Scully.
get the
I
feeling
like Jack
you won't hear
Nicholson.
Brian doing much more of it, though.
Yeah.
I know, but Frosty, that's the chilling effect that I don't want. I'm not looking for that. But when you
Why
talk
so
to
sensitive? I mean, why can't you take what he's saying and all right, I'll tone it back a little bit, but it's still golden. It's still radio gold. Like I said, the crossover between the Lycus audience
Frank.
and your audience, they still appreciate that. And if they say tone it down a little bit,
Frank, but that's not what's been said, and it would be different
if it's being
that-
said
if
right
that-
now, then all the listeners are hearing what's being said right now.
Right.
So if you
But Frank,
if you stop
what
it, you look like a pussy.
What I'm suggesting to you is that what's being said now is not what is communicated off the air. Tim, am I right or am I telling a lie? Or am I telling the truth?
What are you doing for Thanksgiving, Tommy?
Am I telling Tim, am I telling the truth or am I lying?
From what I've seen, Brian has been asked to not only tone it down, but to practically eliminate it. Would be preferable.
Okay, and Tim, we've done conference calls many times with Brian, you and me, and I've never said stop it. I have said tone it down, give it a break for a couple of days, then it kind of goes away, and then it just becomes not so burnt out or not so over the top.
And what have I said about Rick Dees that you'd like me to stop?
You asked me, you keep asking me that. I don't recall exactly, but
keep asking. I asked you one time. You said, you said, and I said things about Rick Dees on the air that you threw that out there, Jack. I mean,
just like any relationship, there must be a limit to what you say. Certain things cut people in a certain way, and that's all I'm saying.
Right, I've never done this to hurt anybody's feelings.
We have to take a break.
Let's call.
We got people calling in 888-520-971. We got the emails rolling in about this. We'll probably move on very soon because talk about driving a bit into the ground.
Yeah, no,
seriously. I kind of enjoyed it. I hope it never ends.
Well, Frosty, you love
all of that. That's all we know.
Steve. Are you kidding?
But he likes the drama for his mama. Let's go.
You can see this on the web. It's being webcast at 971freefm.com. We'll re-air it throughout the weekend as well. The Think Tank continues.
I'm uncomfortable.
If we come back.
Look at Brian hugging Tommy. Isn't that cute?
So sweet.
Oh, look, the monkey hump.
Don't monkey hump him. He'll throw you.
Throw over your shoulder.
97.1, the FM talk station.
Welcome back to the FM Talk Think Tank. Get yourself to your computer now and log on to 971freefm.com and watch this whole thing, because in the next 32 minutes, Brian Whitman will either fall off the stage and break his leg or swallow a bottle of pills. Just kidding, Brian. This is 97.1 Free FM, SoCal's FM Talk station.
It's 97.1 Free FM Think Tank, the time where we all get together as a big happy group and
group hug, Heidi in the middle,
and discuss.
Squeezy squeeze. Yeah.
Oh. And it's live on the web at 971freefm.com thanks to stickcam.com. The great pros at Stickcam are bringing you this on the web, webcasting it. Again, that's 971freefm.com. If you're in your car or work and you're not able to look at it now, it should be replayed throughout the weekend. And you can call as usual, too, 888-520-9710.
Let's also welcome the talented duo of John and Jeff.
John and Jeff.
The third shift finally making it to the program today.
How you doing, guys? Boy, the tension in here a little thick.
Oh, man.
It's a little warm.
Got the tension here. Lighten up
Were you driving in going, I don't even know if we want to go in
I don't want to go.
I told Jack I'll go to an Asian massage parlor and blow it off, but he said no.
I win the office
looking
pool.
for another reason.
I said in the first 15 seconds, John's going to mention an Asian.
Congratulations on winning $500.
So, John, the Asian thing wasn't a silly phase you're going through. You still are big-time Asian lover.
I'm focused on the Asian ladies, absolutely, last 5 years.
You're still Bangkoking it because you just went there for, vacation.
Yeah, I was in Bangkok for 10 days. I got back a couple of weeks ago, had a great time.
And you got back, just after you got back was where that terrible plane crash was in the news. You really just missed that.
I had nothing to do with it.
No, I'm not suggesting that, but the timing on that was weird because you just got back from your vacation there, and then I was hearing on the radio about that accident.
Hey, Jeff, do you wish you was in that plane?
Every time he goes to Thailand, though, there is an issue. Last time there was a coup. This time a plane crash. Then that John Mark Carr thing. So I don't know.
Are you guys friends? Because Frosty and Frank and I get asked this all the time, and we really don't hang out. I mean, we're together during the week. We don't hang out if we don't have to. We're not friends, but we don't hang out. Do you go over to his house and for barbecues with his wife and hang out?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I've known Jeff almost 20 years. I've never been to his house.
Wow. Well, that's a little odd.
20 years I've known Jeff, never been to his home.
Jeff, are you homeless?
I live in my car. Yeah. No, I'm trying to keep the streak going. But no, I live an hour outside the city, and so when I come into the city, I'll stop by John's house. But yeah, he hasn't been in my house.
Actually, it's not that unusual because I've never been in I've never been in Tom's house. I haven't. You have? I haven't been in Tim's house.
I've been in
Brian's
Tom's house. I've been to the outside of Brian's house, but he won't let me in.
Huh.
Well, no, it's not at all the
pink house.
That pink house.
It is not pink.
How'd you know it's pink?
I listened to your show.
Yeah, it's a pink house.
It is not pink.
It's pink.
It's not. It's more. It's there's several colors.
Let's get Martha Stewart to tell us what color it is.
It's a peachy pink.
Is it salmon?
It's more peach than
Peach
pink.
ink.
Oh.
I didn't paint it. I bought it that way.
That was Tom doing an imitation of Brian, by the way.
And
Just to get back.
I wish you wouldn't do that, Tom. Can you cut back on that a little?
I'll try to dial it back.
Because I know you do a bunch of characters. Just cut back on the me,
Yes,
Tom.
I
I mean, it's every night, me, and the bits, shorten them a little bit. And don't do the same thing all the time. You know, every week.
I
you know,
thought we were done with this.
No, my favorite. No, my
the color
favorite.
of our houses. Come on.
I get so many emails from women, especially about Tom. They think that I know you and you're off the air, and the only thing that I ever email back where they say, is Tom really like he is on the air? Come on, you got to tell me. And the thing that I always say is that you are so funny. To me, you are in real life.
Unlike anything on the air.
No, I'm not saying you're not funny on the air.
Funny like a clown.
But
funny?
I remember one night sitting out in Jack Silver's backyard, and we were having a cookout or something, and Tom Likas was sitting there telling old school radio stories. And I mean, I was belly laughing so hard
Where were you,
that I
Frosty?
was
Oh, you weren't
crying.
invited.
I never get invited.
And just
never
just
go.
your old oh hello, I'm a first time caller. I mean just all those stories about you and the old days, and you're so funny. And which your show is different. It's not necessarily supposed to be funny. I mean, it's funny to some who are in on the joke.
Yeah.
But that's what I always tell people is that you're much funnier than they would ever think that you are.
Well,
and do you miss doing that kind of stuff? Because you do great voices too.
Well, actually, I started off my big time radio career doing voices on other people's shows, but they were not impressions; they were characters.
Right.
I used to play characters on other people's shows, and I do enjoy doing that. I used to do a character in my early days that said the exact same things I say on the radio today, but it was a voice I was doing and an accent. And if you listen, I will have to play an old air check of this.
You should.
An old tape of my appearances on the radio where I used to do a bit where I said the exact same things, but as a character.
And then people would call and get all upset.
So you're like the original Phil Hendry, sort of like.
Well, of course. I mean, I would do this bit, and then the host of the show would say, I can't believe you said that. Because, see, here's how far back this goes in my career. You couldn't say the things I say on the radio when I was doing this bit. So the way you had to do it was you would have to have a character say these things and have the host saying, well, I can't believe you said that.
Blame it on the caller.
But in reality, the host knows I'm a plant and that I'm calling in and doing a bit.
I think I go back further. My first show was actually in Morse code.
That bit you did was hilarious.
Ratings you ever had.
But downhill from there, huh, Frank?
Heidi brought up a bit last week with her.
I did? I very rarely bring anything to the show.
When you prepare for the show. No, it was the Sex Gone Wrong, where you ask us questions like, while you're having the romantic time.
Oh, yeah, that week segment last
was there. No, actually, it was we're like, let's write this down. We'll take this as a think tank and ask everybody, was there a time when you were having relations in bed or wherever where it was just a disaster or an embarrassing thing happened that ruined the moment?
Because in case you didn't hear, I'll
laughter ensued.
Put this in a nutshell. I told the story about when I used to, with the Italian who I'm with, in the very beginning, we used to get very raucous. And I would always get a bloody nose every time. Every single time, I would
like
be
a truffle pig.
I would be like, yeah, hang on, I'll be right back. And I'd go in the bathroom, I'd be like, hold the nose, like there's blood everywhere, and it's embarrassing. It's like every time I don't know.
Was it a turnoff when you came out?
Just the tip.
Hey, Heidi, was it a turnoff when you came out of the bath with two strings in your nose?
Super plus.
Two, just things I see.
Stop impersonating John so much.
So that's the story that I sort of kicked it off with. But that's embarrassing.
Okay,
it's like every time I'm with you, I get a bloody nose.
Right. All right. Brian's not going to tell this story, but he told this to me off the air, and I've had a couple of drinks. But Brian said this happened about 5 or 6 years ago. All right. He's with one of his buddies, and they meet a chick at a bar. Right. They go back to his buddy's place. And they're both hitting this chick, and they're both going at it, and all three of them, dude, don't flip me off. Don't flip me off, dude. All three of them are going at it. They're getting all hot. They're getting all heavy. Yeah. And about an hour into it, they stop and they go, the chick's been gone for a half hour. No wonder it was so enjoyable. Don't deny that story, dude.
Just some things, Tim, are better left for off the air. I mean, we've had this conversation.
Have you ever done an impersonation while you're having sex with a chick?
No.
No request for that?
A lot of requests for Tom, actually.
Well,
but I have to
course.
deny them.
You can't do it anymore.
Wait a minute.
I say,
He can
baby,
do you during sex.
I say, baby,
Right.
I'd like to make you happy, but then I got a call from the program.
Oh, you
no,
got-
I don't do. I guess if it was requested, I would probably do it. I mean,
You'd do anything.
everybody's there to have fun, right? I mean, I would probably do it. I mean, if I was asked to.
Like
Can
a
you
little,
break us off with a sample?
Like a little
We gotta
Al
hear it. Come
Rentel?
on. We got to hear it.
Yeah.
Come on, you guys want to hear it?
No, you know you like it. Absolutely, you bitch. No, I don't. I don't.
What about Rick Dees?
Oh, well, you know it. Oh, don't you love it? Oh, that is great. It's the mix that makes you move.
No, it usually doesn't happen like that. That it's never. But if the request was made, and if I especially had some drinks or something, forget about it. Yeah,
There you go.
But John, you seem like this smooth, kind of mellow, low key guy that kind of knows what you're doing. But have you ever had those moments where you're like, oh, okay, that was embarrassing? Yeah.
No, I'm not as kinky as you, Heidi, so I'm not bleeding at the nose during sex or anything like that.
I didn't mean to.
Well, I'm pretty tame,
You
in
are.
my personal life. I don't really
For a
try
guy
to-
that goes to Thailand to
So
have
you've
sex.
never
I know.
had an embarrassing moment during sex?
I can't
Like an
recall.
oopsie or like a fart
No
or anything?
condoms
You
have
fallen
broken or
asleep?
anything like that. I've never fallen asleep.
Anal beads?
Maybe Jeff's the wild man.
I actually,
my God.
I actually had a chick fall asleep on me. Actually, that actually did happen.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
you are like a lazy boy.
No, it fell asleep. And I thought, oh my God, thank God nobody's here to see this. So embarrassing.
Did you stop?
Actually,
Did you let her sleep?
No, you know what? It's so funny because she fell asleep, and I was really into it. So it's getting continued for a moment or two. I said, "My God, this is almost like rape now." Because she was, it was like a dead person, was sleeping, and I said, "I better stop this." So I stopped. I'm above. Some things I'm above.
You didn't stop. Come
I
on.
have a new respect for you.
No. Was it when the person falls drunk, asleep,
What put her out? The roofies?
I don't know why she fell asleep, but she did.
Is it an insult? The only way she's willing to have sex with you, she was ready to pass out. She was at that point where she lost all consciousness.
The way I look at it is she started, fully conscious. She started awake. I just, but when somebody is...
You weren't quick enough.
Well, when somebody literally passes out on you, I mean, guys listening have had this happen. It's a very odd sensation because you feel then as if you're doing it without somebody's permission because they're no longer seems consenting.
She
when
never
they're...
really said no.
No, well, she was on. He's told me this story off the air too, but he was on top, and he was sweating on her,
schwitzing,
and the level of cholesterol in his sweat knocked her out.
Right.
Tom,
You can handle it because you're used to it. She's not used to it. You have to.
An embarrassing sex story? Sex gone wrong?
Oh, yeah, many. Many.
How about sex gone right?
It's like,
Maybe that's a shorter list.
hard to
Yeah,
find.
Exactly. I have to think about it now, but yeah, I mean, I've had my share of. Well, I've had the neighbors pounding on the door.
Ooh.
Because you're a screamer?
Because of you or her.
Probably both.
Did it sound like somebody was being hurt, murdered,
no,
something?
no.
The neighbors are pounding on the inside or the outside of the door?
The outside of the door.
But I want to tell you.
Were they pounding on the door, going, "God damn it, Whitman, stop doing like this"?
I told them it was him. No, in fact, I got a letter unsigned that was supposed to be from the neighbors, which I have framed on my wall.
Oh,
from
that's
that incident.
great.
Yes. If I actually put it on my website, it talks about all the noise we're making.
Is that right?
What a great resume, though, for a girl. You'd be like, perhaps you've seen this letter here.
It's on my wall at home.
Well, I know how
Go
much
see
you
it.
love the ladies south of the equator. Are
yes.
most of them very loud, very vocal in bed?
Yes.
Would you date another white chick?
I haven't in a long time.
Racist.
Of course, you got to be careful with that because there are people from Latin American countries who believe that they are white and they don't want to be told they're not. And in fact, some of them are white. Argentina, for example, is a white country.
Yeah, you can get
now I'm
blonde hair,
gonna cry.
blue-eyed Argentinians, right?
Yeah, because they have a background of Russian and German and Lithuanian.
Now, the letter, I want to focus on this letter for just a moment.
Yeah.
They leave it in your mailbox or they slide it?
Slipped out of the door.
And it's handwritten?
Handwritten.
But it could be one person. If it's signed the neighbors, it could be one
Signed
lady.
the neighbors, and it was on a piece of loose leaf paper, and I have.
Oh
the
hell, they were
original
probably
letter.
17. Who uses loose leaf paper unless you're in
I don't
school?
know.
Did you ever find out who it was?
No.
And it is framed in a prominent position in your home.
Right
Yes.
above the headboard, I imagine.
Well,
Is that when you were living next door to Dennis Prager?
No. No, I was living in an apartment building on Hollywood Boulevard while my house was being renovated. This was not long ago.
Oh, with the
the
moss
mold.
or the mold or whatever you
yeah,
got there.
6
The
years
moss.
ago. Yeah.
Wow. And never a
moss is
word
such
with
a
the
problem.
neighbors about it? I mean, you took the... Never. I mean, this is obviously...
Clearly, if the neighbors had the had the balls to have that conversation, they would have signed the letter.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Nobody ever actually faced me to talk about it. They did call the owner of the building. And so I love these because I once did an entire hour of the show where I had people from the HR department call in and tell about uncomfortable conversations they've had to have with employees. You know, like, you're going to have to start using tampons. Or deodorant. Yeah, you should learn about it. You're like,
Or
the HR
deodorized
department-
tampons.
The HR department.
Two birds, one stone.
One of the biggest things human resources departments do is they have to call in problem employees who have too much perfume.
Yeah.
So I had them tell these stories.
Oh, my God.
So, of course, the owner of the building gets this call from one of the other tenants, and now the owner has to call me on the phone and have a conversation with me about it. And on top of that, he knows who I am.
Oh my! Talk about uncomfortable.
So I get a call from some caller ID in the valley I don't recognize, and I pick up the phone, and the guy says, "Hello, my name is Joel. I'm the owner of the building." "Oh, hi. How are you?" And
He's the neighbors.
Well, I know. Now, here's the thing. I know why he's calling because it was like 2 days after the letter arrived.
And especially when he said, "Hello, Dad." That was weird.
That's right. Hello,
Hello, son.
Let me guess, he wasn't absolutely fascinating and he hung up on his ass.
The thing is, I knew what he was calling about, but I wasn't going to make it any easier on him.
Right.
I just let the pregnant pauses go because he was waiting for me to say, "Oh, I know why you're calling." No. I just sat there and like, "Hi, Joel." And he's like sweating. You can hear him sweating over the telephone. And finally he says, "You know, I know who you are. I know your show, and it's very funny." "Why, thank you, Joel."
Pause.
You know, I got a call the other day from one of your neighbors.
God, more pauses than Frank doing a story.
Really? It was like that. And finally, when
I give all my
valley,
pauses abortions.
the guy finally said to me, he asked me if I wanted to get out of my lease. And I said, absolutely not. This is a wonderful
No, he said
building.
you should get out of Elise because she screams too loud.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
So yes, that one went wrong.
You must
I
have
guess.
loved that, though. Just on those long pauses, he didn't hear you snickering or anything while he was, It wasn't like
No.
Joel was, trying to explain it. And
No.
You should have started banging her right when you were talking to him on the phone.
Oh yeah.
What do you need, Joel?
Well, that was also when I was in my thumper phase. Remember I used to talk about the thumper on the air?
Yeah.
I use that as a sex toy.
The thumper phase. I don't think I've heard this one.
You didn't hear about this?
I missed it.
The thumper, they sell it at the Sharper Image. It's a back massager.
Right.
I'm doing the quotes. The
Right.
back massager. It has 4 knobs on it that vibrate.
are you sure you're shopping at the Sharper Image?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Oh my
It's intended for
God.
back use.
Oh.
And I was using it for other purposes, and of course, then the neighbors started complaining a lot.
Hi, Tom. This is Joel. The building management. We have a thumper problem.
Now I got to change the name of my 2-year-old rabbit.
We'll be back. It's the Think Tank.
Oh God.
The whole staff with us, John and Jeff, Conway Whitman, Tom Likas with us for a bit more, Frosty, Heidi, and Frank. And you can watch us on the web. It's webcast at 971freefm.com. We're Frosty, Heidi, Frank, well, the whole staff, what am I saying? 97.1, the FM talk station.
Hey, it's lunchtime, but do yourself a favor. Put down that gross sandwich and log on to 971freefm.com because you can nourish yourself on the FM Talk Think Tank. Wow, that was corny. Anyway, here's Frosty, Heidi, and Frank, Tom Likas, Conway and Whitman, and the John and Jeff Show on 97.1 Free FM, SoCal's FM Talk Station.
When the Think Tank is done, Tom Likas' show will be on later this afternoon for the drive home, of course, and Conway, Whitman, John, and Jeff, you guys are on tonight as
No,
scheduled.
well, I think aren't they?
No, we're taking the night off. We're going to replay this show.
They're going to
Tim
replay
and I
this
are
show.
going bowling tonight.
So tonight, if you want to see this on the web, if you're not watching right now on the webcast at 971freefm.com, I understand starting at 7, you can go online and see this again. We've had cameras running the whole time. Make sure you don't miss the
Another day
first 2
off for Whitman.
Oh.
I take him when I can get him, Frank.
We all should.
Brian, at one point,
Have you ever strung 4 together?
Brian at one point said, "Hey, listen, I'm here more than I'm not here."
I did. I had to say that. I had to make that point. I went 100 days, without using any, personal time or any sick days. So I went more than 100 days.
Wow.
More than 100
That's
days.
20 whole weeks.
Wow.
A Brian Whitman record.
I remember he called in sick one day, and then he forgot he called in sick, and he called in sick again, which is twice in one day.
No, sometimes I call in and I say to fire a warning shot.
Right.
I might not be in. Then I have to call in to confirm that I'm not going to be in.
Right. Here's the best Brian Whitman sick story. We were doing the show one night. It was Friday night, and he started sweating. It was nice and cool in here, and unlike right now. And he started sweating and turning white. And I said, "Dude, you got to get out of here. You got to go home. You're going to get sick." And he says, "No, I'm okay. I'm okay." And he goes, I got to get out of here. So the guy who is the guard downstairs at night listens to the show, and he always comes up and says, "Hey, I enjoy the show, whatever." And then he makes his rounds around the building, to check out what's going on in the area. Brian Whitman walks out to the bridge here that leads to the parking lot and throws up over the bridge. So at one moment, the guard could be listening, going, "God, I love that guy." The second moment, he could have him throwing up on his head.
And the amazing thing is, it was on my birthday, and and all that Tim brought in, for me, brought in pizza. That's what you bring me on
With
my
candles
birthday.
on it?
Yeah, and I ate, and the first 2 hours I felt fine, and then at 10 o'clock I felt just terrible. I started to feel really
crampy.
Well, I was thinking to myself, if it's, if I'm going to be sick to my stomach, I just don't want to throw up. The whole time you're thinking, please, I just don't want to throw up anything but, being nauseous. So at 10:40, with one segment left to go, Tim says, really, you should get out of here. I said, yeah, I think I want to get out of here. Tim says, let me walk you out, dude. For the first time I ever, I'm going, all right. So we're walking out. And I feel the room is spinning, and I'm walking, and it feels like 100 feet the hallway. And I'm walking, and I'm holding my stomach, and Tim starts peppering me with questions. Hey, what'd you eat, man? Did you eat something bad to eat, man? I'm holding my stomach. What kind of pain is it, man? Is it like a dull pain? In my mind, I'm going, he picks now to talk to me? Now is when you're going to have this great conversation. I tell you, man, what happened, dude? Hey, Babo, come on, man. Where is it, man? Right side, left side? Think it's your heart, man? In my mind, I'm going, guys, shut the hell up. We open up.
I know what you mean now, Tommy.
I open up the door and just I didn't mean to go over the guardrail. I didn't mean for it to shower down like that.
It's raining Whitman chunks.
I didn't.
Pepperoni.
And Tim,
olive.
But Tim, God bless Tim, he's the greatest partner you could ever want to have,
Thank
and the
you very
nicest
much.
guy you'd ever meet. He says to me,
Very compassionate.
while I'm throwing up, it's coming in waves and it's not stopping. I hear from behind me. I assume he's still there, and I hear, "Oh, Baboom. You shouldn't be driving like this, man." Shouldn't be driving. So then Randy Wang drives me home, and it's like 10:45 now, and he driving me back to the valley, and I'm in the car. I'm schwitzing. My head, my body, the whole thing, and I'm laying. I guess Randy told Tim the story later. I just was like laying in the passenger seat,
Swearing the whole time.
And that's when we found out you had a pink house. Because Randy told us.
Or peach.
Pink is peach.
What you guys do when you leave the studio is so much more interesting than what you actually do. Maybe we should.
Frosty,
Kidding.
Frosty.
Calls as usual, 888-520-9710. Hello, Chris. You're on the Think Tank.
Hey, first of all, to the whole crew, thanks for all the entertainment. I really appreciate it. Specifically, my question goes out to Tom, a different take on your voice, Tom. Heard some replays of the show over last holidays, and heard you from the first day that you came on KLSX. Your voice is different. Do you have some sort of condition that's taking your voice away?
Now, I've talked about this many times. I have an allergy issue. I'm getting treatment from an allergist. And It gets better. It gets worse. When I was in New York, it was all better. It has something to do with allergens in Southern California.
It's not women or wine, though, right?
No.
That you're allergic to.
No.
Oh, thank God.
No.
Is that why you're upset at Whitman because he can do you better than you can do you now? You're like, wait
That's
a second.
exactly right.
It reminds me of who I used to be.
Yeah, but it gets better, it gets worse.
An allergy to what? Is it a certain thing?
Well, I'm allergic. I think I'm allergic to more than one thing. I know I'm allergic to mold, and I had to have my house
your whole
renovated
house.
because of mold. But 10% of everybody's allergic to mold, and in fact, I'm going in for a battery test to see what else I'm allergic to. But it's definitely allergies.
But being in the business that we're in, I mean, that has to be a huge concern for you. I mean,
Well,
when your voice starts to go and you're in radio, okay.
Well, yeah, except like I say, there are days it's perfect. There are days it doesn't do. It's not bad at all. And
Yeah, but you have enough money you can check out right now,
I
right?
can.
Right.
I can check out right now.
But Tom loves the business.
I do.
Yeah, so it's got to be scary.
It's not scary because I guess
Losing
because,
your voice is not scary?
because I'm not losing it permanently.
Oh, okay.
I lose it because my nose is stuffed up. I've got sinus issues. We're sitting here talking about my medical history.
You should
but-
do like Tom in a bubble.
My nose is stuffed
What
up.
was that?
I
John
don't have your
Travolta?
program.
If it's allergies here in Southern California, if it gets to the point where months turn into years, and I guess they almost have you considered going to a different city and doing the show from there where they don't have those allergies?
I like living in Southern California too much. I would probably just get the medication, whatever it is, and take it.
But he's on so much medication, he's actually had his car wrapped in the Claritin ad.
I got a medication right here, as a matter of fact.
Tom and a Lexus with Claritin on the side driving down the street.
Marshall, you're on with the entire staff on the 97.1 Think Tank. What's up, Marshall?
Hi, you guys are great. I just wrote a letter the other day to Jack Silver and a carbon copy to the rest of you. I don't know if anybody got it at all, but you guys are terrific. And the only thing I don't like is all the infomercials. But you guys are all terrific, and I listen to you all the time because I'm addicted to the station. So if you get a chance to look at the letter,
I happen to love the infomercials, by the way.
Me too.
I love a guy that still uses carbon paper.
No, I didn't carbon copy. I just photocopied it, but I used a long.
Who is this, Weinstein? I read that. His letter.
By the way, did anybody get his letter?
I did.
Oh, you did.
I read it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
What is the tone of the letter?
That he dropped out of high school because he couldn't continue his GED because he was listening to the station all the time.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
He is that much of a diehard.
Well, you probably learn more from these shows than you do.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
You could have slid an a-hole, I guess, in there, right?
Who needs algebra?
A douchebag.
Mario, you're on the Think Tank on 97.1.
Hey, Frosty. First of all, let me say I do love your show. Your show's the best out of all of them.
Oh,
well, look at that.
Oh, well, he has to say that. It's during
Let's
our
all
time
toast
period.
that, Tom.
Yeah.
Except for that cackling bitch in the background.
Yeah, I get that a lot. I get that a lot.
He might
I'm
mean
used to
me.
it. That's true. Why am I taking offense?
But hey, Tom, as long as you're here, okay, we know, everyone listening to this show, we know what Frosty's like. Could you please give him some advice? How to be a real man? Teach this guy some of that like us 101.
How to be a real man? I'm a real man. Yes, I am.
With the trolley.
Before Tom even tries to turn me into a real man, I am who I am. And if I became Tom Likas, I wouldn't be me anymore. So I'm guessing, Tom, there's some people that you just wouldn't even try to make more like you because it's a worthless cause.
I never try to make anybody like me unless they call in and they say, "What would you do?" And then I tell them. But I don't think everybody should be like me.
And nor would I even want to be like you. And that's not saying that you're not doing a good thing, but you probably wouldn't want to be like me either. It's like what works for you wouldn't work for me and vice versa.
Well, the thing is, if I were like some of the mush brains who call radio shows, and I'm calling a complete stranger who is a disc jockey who doesn't get to play records anymore, and say, "What should I do with my life? I've got 3 kids. I'm thinking of leaving my wife." If you ask a guy, if you're at that point, I'll give you advice, pal. But remember, who am I? What are my credentials? But they don't care.
Yeah.
Look at Tommy wrote this down during that call. If I were Frosty, I'd kill myself. What's wrong with you?
That's
my
harsh.
God,
so rude.
Get Jack Silver on the phone.
No.
This has got to end.
Jeez.
Tom has said how happy he is now that he's a single guy and he's playing it, but I don't believe the amount of happiness that you express. And if Whitman and Frosty and Tom brought in their pillowcases, I'd be hard-pressed to guess which one had the most tear stains.
Oh, interesting.
Seriously, for different reasons.
Or other stains.
Really?
But seriously, I think there's some sadness, some deep sadness
Really
there.
believe that? Tell me why.
Well, I think because when I listen to your show sometimes, there's an overcompensation of happiness that I can kind of see through where it's like, okay, underlying sadness.
If that's the case, then I'm the happiest man on the planet. Thank God.
An overcompensation of happiness? What the hell does that mean?
Well, when you have to tell everybody you're happy all the time, that you're doing everything and everything's great, it's like if you're telling us all the time that everything's great and it's the perfect world for you, I kind of believe that it's not, that something else is going on.
Well, that's easily explained. I mean, when I'm on the radio, I'm pretty much selling the lifestyle of Lycus 101, so I'm reminding people about what the benefits of it are. Now, you guys have all talked to me off the air. Do I walk around the radio station going, I am happy?
No.
I am so goddamn happy.
No, you'll see Tom in a chair with his head in his hands going, I can't do this anymore.
I've never seen Tom Leykis skip. I can actually say that.
No.
I don't even want to picture that.
Even on drugs, you haven't seen that, just for a flash.
Me and Tom Leykis skipping, I've never
Flying
seen that.
elephant and Tom skipping by, it's never happened yet. Well,
Abe Lincoln and a badger. Or
No,
a
it was
beaver.
a
beaver.
How
I
did
should
you
know
forget
that.
the beaver in the
I know,
commercial?
deep sea
we do
diver.
have to break. Now, Tom, I think may be leaving us now.
He's got to
though.
do a show.
Yeah.
Be back in about...
I need to take a little break.
It's Flash Friday, by
I'll
the way.
be listening to the happiness in your voice, Tom, on the way home.
happy.
Tommy!
Hey.
Catch you for the ride home, Tom. Conway Whitman, you staying with us? John and
Yeah.
Jeff.
Yeah,
and
know where to go.
The rest of the staff comes in. It's the Think Tank, live on the web at 971freefm.com and on 97.1, the FM talk station.